Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonia D, a woman in her late 30s who has decided to start her life over.
Wanna be my dream girl, doing everything I've never seen girl, being everything I wanna be girl, if I love myself.
On this channel, we believe it's never too late to start over in any area of your life. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what you have, you still have time. So if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back home. It's really great to have you here again. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new, where have you been all my life? Welcome to my channel. It's really great to have you here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like what you hear so that we can always hang out some more in the future. And as always, as I go through this conversation, please let me know what you're thinking, how you're engaging the content. It helps me know what to bring forth to you guys in future episodes. Because, I want us to grow together. I want us to interact, grow, to chat. So share in the comments, like it if you're enjoying the conversation, share it if you think it will help someone else. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so I'm not sure at this stage what I've chosen to title this video, but essentially when I sat and thought about, starting over at a later stage in life, like I said, I'm in my late 30s and actually it's my birthday in like 2 days. So by the time you watch this, guys, I will be 38. And for the first time ever, I am not anxious about turning older. I am not feeling some type of way about it. It just feels natural. It feels like, yeah, I am a woman. I am becoming the best woman that I can be. I'm loving who I'm growing into. So I'm really looking forward to celebrating this particular birthday and stepping into this part of my life. But anyway, I digress. So as I was thinking about it, in the very first video, I just shared a bit of my story, my thought process behind starting over. And I just wanted to expand that a little bit because I've got obviously friends in the same age group as me, late 30s. I also have younger friends, still in their 30s. And I also coach a myriad of clients. So I'm a life coach and I mainly work with women. And so I inevitably end up seeing certain patterns through my conversations. And something that I've picked up on is there's this sense or this feeling as women, especially women of color, especially African women in their 30s, that we are blooming late. You've heard the term late bloomer. So you're coming into your own in whatever capacity at a stage that is deemed beyond the stage that you were supposed to be, right? According to who, I don't know. But, let's just go with it just for context, for us to have an understanding of this conversation. So I really just I sat and I thought about it, I really thought about why is there this sort of phenomenon that women in our generation, millennials particularly, are blooming late. We're growing into our own in our 30s, mid to late, right? And I just really wanted to sit and reflect on why this is and if it's an issue, because I feel like when you're sitting by yourself and you're feeling a bit discouraged, you're like, I haven't achieved this or that. On your own, it can feel like you are the only one and like it's a bad thing. However, when you take a step back, when you zoom out and you observe your peers, your environment, and life in general, because I feel there's a pattern, and I'll get into this in our conversation, you realize that you're actually not that special. And it just helps you, focus on your lane and just grow more into yourself and do what's right for you. So today is going to be a bit of a coaching session, I guess. I'm putting on my coaching hat. I promised you guys I would share, perspectives using my experience as a life coach. So I do have my notes here that I'll be referring to just to keep me on track. And I blocked this topic out into 3 segments again to just help us make good sense of it. So the very first segment is just unpacking the different areas in life in which millennial women feel they are late bloomers. Okay. So you guys can please feel free to add more areas if I've missed them, or experiences, whether personal or people that you know. But the first area is emotional and mental health. So what I mean by this is you may have succeeded in other areas of your life. Maybe you've climbed the corporate ladder, or you've done really well in your business and you are financially savvy. You've really grown in those areas, in certain areas of your life. However, the older you've grown, and once you hit like 30 plus, you realized that emotionally and in terms of your mental well-being, your mental sanity and peace, you are not quite there. You struggle to maybe advocate for your own needs, to set boundaries when it comes to you. So you may do it even in the office, in the workplace, in your business, like I said. But when it comes to you, when it comes to putting your needs first and checking in and even understanding, how do I feel? What am I feeling right now? For some of us, that's really difficult. We have not been taught to sit with those questions, to answer what we're feeling, or why, or where it's come from. Even forget that, just what to identify the actual feeling. So, and I realized that this is particularly true for firstborn daughters, of which I am one, as I've mentioned before. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and I think, excuse me guys, what I came to the conclusion, or my theory, is that as firstborn daughters, especially in African households, from a very young age, we noticed things, and we were made privy to certain information that probably we shouldn't have at that age, because we were the oldest. I remember by 12, my parents could leave me to go out in the evening, and I'll be watching my siblings. I could cook, I could take care of things, and even in some instances, taking care of other younger cousins, things like that, right? And not to say you can't be responsible at 12, however, I was forced to grow up quite quickly. So I became very, very good at identifying what other people need, advocating for other people's needs, because I wanted to keep the peace. And that this also ties in to the emotional, the attachment style that I had, my dominant attachment style, which, if you've heard of these, mine was fearful avoidant. So with a fearful avoidant, you're very, very attuned to other people's needs beyond your own, because you believe that for you to be loved, for you to be accepted, you have to make sure everyone else is okay, even at the expense of yourself. So I feel like as firstborn daughters, please let me know if this resonates with you, but we got so busy at such a young age being responsible for the things in the home, managing tricky terrain when it came to came to dynamics in the home, and maybe even extended family, whatever. Maybe even in our friendship groups, we were the responsible one, or the motherly type, or whatever. So as much as we understood how to provide emotional and mental safety for others, we neglected it for ourselves. And we wake up one day in our 30s and we're like, oh dang, I don't know how to do this for myself. So that's category area 1, right? The next area I identified is in career. So there's some of us, and maybe let's say / purpose, there's some of us who, we maybe got into a job in a certain industry, maybe in corporate, and initially it seemed okay, but after a while we felt disillusioned. We felt this wasn't it for us. And we realized, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know what comes natural to me, my gifts, my talents. I'm doing this because I'm just really good at it and I get paid for it. But I don't really enjoy it, or I don't really feel this is what I should be doing. And again, we continue on this trajectory because society dictates that everyone should have a job to pay bills, you're an adult, so that's what you do, whether or not you like it, because there's narratives out there that, oh, I hate work. We go on and on about how we don't enjoy work. We look forward to the weekend to unwind. So you think, okay, this is normal. Clearly, if I'm not enjoying it, everybody else isn't. But it's not. You are meant to enjoy your life. And it's not to say your job or your business or your career will not have responsibilities that and challenges that you may not always enjoy. However, the base feeling, the base understanding will be like, okay, this is right for me. There'll be just a deep sense of knowing. So I feel like some of us wake up to this later after we've burnt out, we've given our time, we've given of ourselves to a company, to an organization, to a business, and that just is not fulfilling. And then we wake up and we're like, yeah, this is not me. I need to figure out what is for me. Okay, so that's area number 2. The third area I identified is relationships. And this can extend to different kinds of relationships, but I want to focus mostly on intimate relationships. So that would be romantic relationships, dating, marriage. That would be familial relationships, like your immediate family, and friendships, right? And I've noticed that there are some of us who grapple with this area, and I'm certainly someone who has grappled with this area of my life. I've I've worked tirelessly on it since probably my 30s. Yeah, more intentionally, rather, let me say. And so maybe you just find that you say you want a relationship, you want to get married. Maybe even in your 20s you had this vision, 25 I'll be married, the house, picket fence, all the nice things, children. But and you may even be described as the nice girl, the marriage type of girl, but for whatever reason you just don't get beyond a certain point in your dating experience, and you find it difficult to really connect with people on a deeper and emotional level. And that could be a myriad of reasons. There's many factors that play into something like that, which I won't go into in this episode. It would just take us too long. But yeah, you then just understand that you desire vulnerability. You desire closeness with other people, maybe a significant other, maybe it's your family. You want more ease in your relationships, and you wake up to this at a later stage in life when you're older, and you start looking at the people who surround you and realize that, okay, maybe I don't know these people as well, or they don't know me as well. I haven't opened up to them fully in that way, or in the way that one would with people that they're close to. So yeah, some of us wake up to that a bit later on. And then the final aspect is financial. So there's some of us who maybe you even started with a good job again in corporate, all these things, benefits, nice, but you just, either something happened, or, you just found yourself in a situation where you're living day to day, month to month, paycheck to paycheck, if at all. And you're noticing that by this stage, other people, your peers, the ones who got it earlier, they've managed to secure a home for themselves. They've got cars, not just one. They have, they're able to pay children's school fees. They go on these amazing trips and holidays. But here you are in your apartment or back at your parents' home, and you don't have a car, you don't have nothing much to your name, and you're like, okay, I'm 30 plus. What's going on? What am I missing, right? You just haven't quite managed to kick it, or to get to that point that you would want to when it comes to your finances. Okay, so those are the 4 areas in which I feel like millennial women, our generation, may feel they are late bloomers. So yeah, like I said, let me know if I missed an area and what you guys think of these areas. areas that I identified. Okay, then the next, I guess, segment to unpack would be why is it taking us longer to bloom? You know, as millennial women, African women, why is it taking us longer? Why are we late bloomers, right? And there are a couple of things I identified. The first thing that really stood out for me is if you notice, you know, as millennials, we are in between the baby boomers, and I think it's Gen X, right? And Gen Zs on the other side. And so when you look at these two different categories, right, the baby boomers, they had a formula and it worked splendidly for them, right? Get a degree, get a job, get a retirement fund, you know, and life will reward you. And tick, 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 it worked, okay? Because they just were taught to follow the rules. Then on the other side with the Gen Zers, they looked at the rest of us and they were like, hey, hell no. This does not work for me. Do I just get a paycheck just to get a paycheck? Just do I buy a house just because it's what is right? You know, no. I'm someone who values travel, so that's what I'm going to focus on. Or I'm someone who can't work for someone else. I'm just going to be an entrepreneur or an influencer, you know. And also at that time, the internet had really developed, so they had those options to them. So, you know, more of the rebel, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Although I see so much value in their mindset, right, on either side. So I feel like we are caught in between where there's half of us that is like when we were growing up, we were taught by our parents, okay, for you to get a good job, you're going to have to go to this university and you're going to have to study these things. Meaning in high school, you probably had to study certain subjects, right? Like, for instance, I'll tell you guys, I was encouraged to study maths. I hated maths. It just was not natural to me, guys. But because, you know, you were told everyone needs maths if you're going to get into a good program in university. So I did it. I just passed, but, you know, scraping it. But my heart of hearts wanted, like, you know, English. I loved geography, you know, business studies. And I did English and business studies, thankfully. So, yeah. And then on the other side of us, you know, there was a part of us starting to awaken to the truth that we are individuals and our feelings matter, what we want matter. You know, that narrative was starting to grow as we were growing up. So on the one end, we had our parents and the older generation telling us, do what you're told and you'll be rewarded. And on the other side, it's like, you know, I don't have to do what I'm told, right? I can figure something out that works for me. So I feel like we were caught between this war, and that probably really impacted a lot of decisions we made. I feel like many of us initially made decisions that were made for us, whether it was what you studied, the job and the industry that you entered into, even the kind of partner you dated, where you lived. You thought, okay, I saw it working for the generation before me. Surely there's a formula that'll work for me. And then halfway through, we were like, hit. And it's like, nope, the world is changing, girl. It's no longer working for you. So then we had this internal war, and externally, we're stuck in the space that we no longer really resonate with. And internally, we are battling with this. And so I think to shift that, to really come out of that and into a space that's more comfortable for you, will take time, hence the late blooming. And then I also thought that one of the reasons is that from the baby boomer generation, we were rewarded for following the rules. Like I said, they were rewarded for following the rules, so we were taught the same because, you know, you're going to teach your children what you know. It's very difficult for you to teach your children what you don't. So our parents were doing the best they could. They did the right thing. They shared the information they gathered. So we were taught, you know, there's value, there's reward in doing what you're told. And so that's the line that we started with. And down the line, like I said, we realized that nope, there's actually value in being your own individual, standing in your truth, identifying what that is, and knowing that your truth, what works for you, may not look like anybody else's truth, and that's okay. Very foreign concept, especially from the people that raised us. So again, like I'm saying, we had these warring and opposing thoughts in us and even internally, and that made it probably really hard for us to finally stand on a decision that really worked for us. And we maybe woke up to it a bit later, again, hence the late bloom. All right, and then the final reason is I recently came across Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he's an author, and he's just amazing. He's really marrying or really helping us understand the science behind our brains, our DNA, and how you create your reality, right? Excuse me. And I've been reading his book. It's called How to Stop the Habit of Being Yourself, something along those lines. And in it, he touches on this I guess phenomenon, and it's not the first time I've heard this, but he says that the average human starts to awaken to themselves from about 30 years of age. So if you noticed, when you were younger, let's say as a teen, the most important thing for you was fitting in. You wanted to be like everybody else. You wanted to be accepted. Majority of us. I won't say all of us. There's some of us who've always been really good at standing in, I'm okay as I am. But generally, as a society, as humanity, we want to belong. So you did what you wanted to try and fit in, right? And then into your 20s, you were, you'd left the nest, so you had this newfound freedom. You were making your own money, so you were enjoying that. And still living as your acquired self. And by acquired self, the self that you developed and created based off of how you were raised, the education system you belong to, the society, the culture, the environment that you lived in, the things that rewarded you. If you did more of certain things, you were rewarded for it. So, for instance, if you were abstinent, is that the word? You didn't sleep with people, sleep around, you were rewarded. So you did more of that. Whether or not it was something you personally agreed with, right? Or you didn't drink alcohol, whether or not that was something you personally agreed with, because that's what was rewarded. Things like that, right? And then come 30, something happens. And he says that Dr. Joe Dispenza confirms this, and like I said, I've heard it before, that come 30, that acquired self no longer is doing it. It's just not cutting it anymore. It's not comfortable. You just start realizing there's something. There's a gaping hole, there's a discomfort, there's a discord, and you want to resolve it. So you start to awaken to your true self. So you start to, I guess, see, if you choose to, things about life and the life you've built up to this point that are not ideal for you, that are not fulfilling. You start getting disillusioned with life. If you notice, by the time you reach 30 plus, you started seeing things for what they are, people for who they are, your experiences for what they were. And even though you didn't know what to do with it, it's just this awakening. So I feel like, it's just a reminder that we're actually not that late. We are on track to awakening to ourselves. And I'll go into that in the next segment. But yeah, those are the reasons I feel like millennials, millennial women of color are late bloomers. Let me know what you think. All right, guys. So the third segment for this conversation that I'd like us to unpack is, we've really identified, okay, what areas would I say I am late in arriving? And, there's value in acknowledging. So what areas would I say I've struggled to find my center in? And then the second part was why. Why would I say I've been a bit late to coming to the necessary realizations for this? And beyond the why, once you understand why, I think it just gives you a sense of ease and peace that, okay, there's nothing wrong with me essentially. And so I can course correct, or rather, I'm actually on the right path. Let me continue. What I'm feeling is okay. It's right. Right? So as you're working on, you know, developing whatever area, the areas we spoke about, whatever area you would like to start over in, or shift in, or change, or develop, it's really helpful to have some tools that will help you build the home that you want to build. You can't build a home with your bare hands only. You need tools that make it simpler and that allow you to build a home that is not only functional but also aesthetically pleasing, and safe. We want you to be safe as you're building this new identity, and constructing this area in a way that feels good for you. So I thought of a number of these tools that I feel can help us and have been helping me certainly on my journey to start over. So you can take what works for you and leave the rest on the floor. That's one of my favorite mentors, Myleik Teal. She loves saying that. She has a podcast, a really amazing podcast, and she shares some really powerful gems, and she'll always say, take what works for you and leave the rest on the floor. So I want to tell you guys to do the same. You don't have to take everything I share. So in terms of the types of tools I'm sharing with you, it's mindsets, right? Mindsets to adopt as you continue to change whatever area of life you're choosing to change or to shift or to start over, okay? So the first mindset is you're actually not unique, like I touched on before. You're not that special, honey, sorry. And I know that's like, it can feel like, oh man, I'm not special, but it actually helps you calm all the way down and just be like, okay, you know what, I'm not the only one going through this. I'm not that unique to this feeling, this experience of being late. And if I'm not the only one, and if other people have gone through it and come out the other side, so will I. That's basically where I'm coming from. So the first way you are not unique is, like I said, there's a number of us going through this, and if you resonate with that, if you really agree with that and you're comfortable, drop it in the comments so that someone else can know that, yeah, there's a number of us who are going through this. I'll be the first one to put my hand up for sure. I have felt like a late bloomer probably for the last, I'll say 5+ years, right? And I'm 38. So you're not the only one, and allow that to encourage you that there is a community, there is a group of women and people in general who are on this journey with you, and allow that energy to move you forward, because then it means we're working towards something, and we'll get there. And also, you're not unique in that I really believe, again, a theory of mine, I'm not saying it's 100% true, but I really believe that this happens pretty much in every generation. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza said, you go through an awakening as a human being at 30+. However, I feel for our mothers, they came to that awakening but didn't do anything about it until later. That's why you'll see a number of our parents divorced later, after the kids had left. The kids were grown up, probably married, or maybe before, but they stayed in situations that they knew they were not happy in, and so it looked like they had arrived in whatever area of their life, because they did it younger than us, and they stayed a much longer course than us, right? We woke up to it and we chose to start doing something about it a bit quicker than they did. So like I said, I think every generation goes through it, this late blooming, and it has to do with the societal expectations, the rules, the norms, and how much as individuals we take those in and allow them to dictate and direct our decisions in our life. So for our mothers' generations, I feel like they really listened to those rules and norms, and so didn't bloom until much later. With us, we had the blessing and the gift of this new wave of do what's right for you, do find what feels good. So we woke up around the same time, but we started shifting sooner rather than later because we had the permission, essentially. And then if you look at the Gen Zers, they're doing it way sooner than us, right? Like, I look at some of these 20-year-olds and I'm like, geez, I only started thinking like that in my 30s, right? Or even started vocalizing it and implementing it in my 30s. And look at you in your 20s starting to do it. And, it's a bit of like an ouchie, but it's also, I'm proud of them and I'm really happy that they're waking up to these things sooner. However, I do feel there will probably be repercussions for it, as with every generation. We just can't see it yet. And there will be certain elements of blooming late. So we're not unique. A, because you're not the only one going through this. B, because we're not the only generation who is going through this as millennials. Then the second mindset that I have adopted is that I no longer believe the lie that youthfulness is where all my potential lies. Again, there's this lady I love to listen to. Her name is Margarita Nazarenko. She has a podcast. She also has really great content on TikTok and YouTube. I'll drop links for these individuals, the people I'm talking about, in the description box so you can check them out. But she has a whole episode, and I think that's what I'll link. She has a whole episode about, as if you're a woman and you're feeling old, if you're feeling you're past your prime, past your time, you're too late, rethink that, because she explains it much better than me, but she highlights the fact that if you notice, a lot of these companies target youthfulness. So they have these products that are supposed to make you look younger, feel younger, and they use a lot of young models, young looking people in their ads, even in terms of movies that we watch, even in terms of the artists that blow up, they're becoming younger and younger. So there's this whole idea that your youth is where it's at. Like, you better get in while you're young. You better explode while you're young, because that's where all your potential is, right? But the reason why that happens is that they understand that when you are younger, when you are a teenager, when you're in your 20s, you need to understand that your prefrontal cortex only fully develops at about 27 years of age plus. That means you only fully understand yourself, what you need. You have a fuller understanding of yourself as an individual at 27 plus. Your brain has developed enough for you to do that. Before that, you're still developing that muscle. You're still testing stuff out. Like I said, you're trying to fit in, so you're not really standing in your truth. And I think that's why people will always say, the older I get, the less BS I take, the more I know what I want, the easier it is for me to walk away, all of that stuff, because you have now understood yourself. And so these marketers, these companies, these advertisers, they understand this, and who are they going to target? Are they going to target the millennial woman in her 30s who's going to tell them, start asking questions like, sir, so what did you use in this product? And how exactly is it going to make me look young? Or, how will it impact other, areas of my health? Things like that. We ask more questions because we no longer just take stuff. We no longer take in, whatever is fed to us. Whereas when you're younger, you're more susceptible to listening to what is told to you. And that's where they make the most of their money. Because younger people are not going to overthink it. They're going to buy it because what? They want to fit in. They want to pop out. They want to thrive, whatever it is. So then the gimmick is that it's made to seem as though your youth is where it's at. And it's quite the contrary. There is so much value in being older. You're wiser, you have experience to back up your knowledge. And like I said, you are more attuned to yourself, to your needs, your wants, and to vocalizing these. And not only that, but I feel like you live life beyond just yourself. When you're younger, you're still quite self-absorbed, and you are seeking to find your place in this world, that sense of belonging. And you're not yet developed enough to consider humanity or society as a whole. However, when you're older, you learn to put yourself first, yes, but you learn to do it in a way that it is a gift and a blessing to those that come in contact with you. So you are actually really valuable, and especially as women. So I have chosen to see that my potential is only starting now. I have no cooking clue where this thing is going to take me. So let me pour in all my energies to starting over in those areas, that I want to develop, and really shift into an ideal self. And it's going to shock me. So that's a mindset I've chosen to adopt. The third mindset is releasing the shame around starting late or being late. I, for one, will say I carried this shame for such a long time. Like I've mentioned before, I was extremely religious, and the church that I went to, people started getting married so young in our 20s. I've been a bridesmaid 8 times, guys. And so I've attended many weddings. Those are just the weddings I was a bridesmaid in, not counting the weddings I attended, baby showers, all these things. And I started feeling like, you're so behind, Sonia. Why aren't you finding your partner? You're so late. Nobody's going to want to marry you. Not to mention the culture I belong to. There's value in being a married woman. And if a woman who's younger than me is married, people are going to take her opinions more seriously than mine, because she's a married woman. That's how much value is placed on being married. So obviously I was going to absorb some of the stuff. However, with time, and like I said, with the value of growing older, the prefrontal cortex developing, knowing myself more, being able to identify the BS, I have learned to release the shame and the lie that I am late. I am on time. I am awakening to myself. That's all. And instead, what helps me to keep breaking free of this is to open up to the gratitude of the truth that I am growing more aware of myself. I am learning myself more. I am tending to my garden with more intention and love. And so doing that, seeing it from that perspective that, hey, okay, you know what, it kind of feels sucky, but at least I am aware, because the first step to healing is always awareness. Knowing what is no longer working is a gift. Choose to see it that way. And that's a mindset that will help you as you bloom into yourself. And then the final area, one of my favorites, and one that I would say this past year I've started becoming much and more intentional with, is continue to surround yourself with people who are on their journey of blooming later in life. And also observe people who've done it already or are in the process, whether it's listening to certain podcasts, whether it's reading certain books, whether it's joining certain societies and organizations, spaces and places that speak the narrative that where you are, what you are going through is okay, it's healthy, it's a good thing. So where the language celebrates this journey, this process that you are in, and sees it as a good thing, versus spaces and places where it's like, oh no, girl, you're so old, nobody's gonna want you. Because the truth is, words are affirmations. They create life. So either life or death. So either you're in a space, in a place with people with messaging that is killing your spirit and telling you that you are so late and hurting you in the process and will cause you to just give up altogether, or you're in places and spaces with people that are watering the idea, the truth that you are fine, you're on time and on schedule for your best life. So yeah, if it means looking for more friends, new friends, do that. Or organizations to join, like I said, whatever it takes to give yourself the best chance to make it in these areas that you want to develop in, that you want to shift in, then do that. So those are those areas, those tools that you can take with you on this journey as you start over in whatever area that is. I hope they're helpful for you. Let me know what you think about them. Let me know what else you would add, what other tool you would include in our toolbox that would get us and help us on our journey to starting over. And I guess, so with coaching, I always give homework to my clients. I guess I'll give you guys a bit of homework. My homework for you is to sit with yourself and answer the question, which area in my life would I like a do-over? Which area am I not really happy with, where I've realized that maybe I wasn't doing this for myself? And then ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do from today to start shifting in this area? Okay, so which area of my life am I not really happy with? And what's one small thing I can do from today to start shifting? Based off of our conversation, based off of, when you're spending time alone with yourself, reflecting on the questions, those answers can definitely come to you. But yeah, let me know if you do this task, if you do this homework, how you find it. You can also always DM me, guys. Find me on Instagram at SoniaDOG. DM me, I'm always happy to hear from you. And that's it, guys. That is it. Our first Inner Work episode completed. I really, really enjoyed this. I wish I had started doing this sooner, but anyway, there's a time for everything. I really do value having you here, having you tune in every week to spend time together. I truly feel and believe, and I've seen in the last year, because last year, and I'll do an episode on this, last year I spent time underground for a year working on myself, healing certain aspects, and I saw firsthand there's value in healing out loud. When I am healing and I'm sharing that process with you, it sparks that fire in you to also do the same, or to continue doing the same. And that's really what I hope this space allows us to do. So I don't take it lightly that you are here, that you are a part of this process, this healing process. Thank you for always tuning in. And yeah, remember, if you haven't already, subscribe, like. If you enjoyed this, comment, share with somebody. Let's grow this community. Let's heal more. So yeah, thank you so much again for being here, and I will see you next time. Take care.
Wanna be my dream girl, doing everything I've never seen.